What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Mr. Jackson. Let us go. What's up, YouTube? Right now, you're hanging with Mr. Jackson. We about to talk about Blizzard, y'all. Big company, y'all. Blizzard was one of the companies that got me into gaming, y'all. I played Diablo 1 when it first came out, y'all, over 20 years ago. And I played World of Warcraft, not the first year, but the second year it came out. I played World of Warcraft, y'all. But Diablo, I played Diablo 1. I played a lot of that. Diablo 2, I played a lot of that. But y'all, we about to get into this. I know my screen, I'm gonna have to fix it, y'all. It's acting up, y'all. I'm gonna have to fix it, y'all. But we about to get into this reaction, man. Let's go ahead and get into it.
So last week, news came out that Microsoft has moved forward with efforts to make Blizzard more prolific. The plan is to launch new games for their established IPs far more frequently than has been the case. Blizzard is notorious for taking their time ever since the early 2000s.
Before they release new games, they need to work on the games they already got before they release new games. Get them back on track first, then release the new games.
With there being 10 years between the launches of Diablos 3 and 4, 12 years between StarCrafts 1 and 2, and it's been 22 years since we got a new Warcraft RTS. You feeling old yet? I sure am. Now compare that with their release cadence in the late 90s and early 2000s. In the 10-year span between 94 and 2004, they launched Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, Diablo, StarCraft, Diablo 2, Warcraft 3, and the World of Warcraft. That was 7 games within 10 years. In the 20 years since World of Warcraft, there have been 6 new games with StarCraft 2, Diablo 3, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, and most recently Diablo 4. Now, longer development times over the past 2 decades have been a trend across the entire industry. This isn't Blizzard specific. What is Blizzard specific, though, is the fact that for a while it felt like that long wait was worth it. But the company isn't quite known nowadays as the genre-defining developer they used to be, and it seems like Microsoft, after spending $72 billion in the acquisition, they're not that interested in a release cadence of 6 new games over the course of the next 20 years. Now, I don't think rushing out their mainline installments is going to be the answer. Had they launched Diablo 4 a year or 2 earlier, there likely would have been far less content in the game at release, of course, right? I do think Blizzard should take their...
They should have released Diablo 4 a year or 2 later. But it still wasn't finished when they released it.
As much time as they need for those big games for their mainline installments. Take all the time you want for those games to make them as good as possible. That should be the focus, right? However, there is another option that interests me, and that would be Blizzard working on games that are smaller in scope, that take less time to develop, and more importantly, ones where they're willing to take more chances, not to play it as safe and to try new things. Well, it turns out that might be exactly what's going on. Microsoft has some big plans. According to sources speaking with Windows Central, Microsoft has recently created a new internal team made up of members throughout Activision Blizzard King. This group's entire focus is to create new games based on Blizzard's popular franchises. But these wouldn't be new big mainline games. We're not talking about StarCraft 3 and Warcraft 4. These would be smaller games in their scope, scale, budget, and ideally as well in their development time. So basically, we're talking about spin-offs for Warcraft, Diablo, and StarCraft in entirely new genres, released far more frequently than once every 10 years or 10 plus years. This is a pretty exciting proposition. Now, to quote the article, sources tell me that Microsoft is keen to explore and experiment finding success out of smaller teams that are also integrated with the larger org, almost Nintendo style for seamless collaboration. Microsoft and other big publishers are increasingly concerned about the monstrously ballooning cost facing AAA game development, and having studios cross-collaborate more closely is one way Microsoft is exploring reducing cost. Now,
main thing they need to do, y'all, they already got Diablo 4 on consoles. They need to put all the games on console, y'all. Even World of Warcraft, y'all. If Final Fantasy 14 could be on console, WoW could be on console, yo, you will get so many new players, y'all. Y'all put everything on console. and y'all make way more money. Enjoy your almost everybody I know got a PS5. Almost everybody I know got a PS5. You put all your stuff on console, your retail goes sky high. You'll be making money. Look, I ain't mean to do him like that. Look at his eyes. I ain't mean to do him like that.
Later on, he adds that this new internal Blizzard studio is entirely geared up for agility and trying to break free of the bureaucratic bloat that often comes with larger teams. And this is absolutely a truth that we see in action very often across the games industry, with these huge studios moving at a snail's pace, taking weeks or months or even longer to release updates, patches, and bug fixes, while simultaneously in that same industry, we're seeing much smaller teams working on their own indie games or AA games that can release updates far more frequently. There's a lot of red tape when a development studio gets to be as big as Blizzard, and while that red tape is there for a reason, it can and often does tend to really slow things up when it comes to these studios being geared up for agility, being flexible and responsive and updating on a frequent basis. So the entire initiative here actually sounds and reminds me a lot of what Riot has been doing with Riot Forge, where they're releasing these smaller scale games based on their League of Legends IP, and some of these have seen some great success, like really highly rated. A lot of people really enjoy them, so it's really exciting. And I think for Blizzard in particular, as someone who's been a fan of pretty much all of their franchises for the past 20, 30 plus years, there's a lot of potential. Like, they've actually already been playing around with this idea, right, of making these smaller scale spin-offs. Obviously, you could certainly argue that Hearthstone is exactly that. They took the Warcraft IP, they turned it into a collectible card game reminiscent of Magic the Gathering, but with a Warcraft twist. I mean, it's not exactly like Magic, right? But you get the picture. They took the IP and they spun it off into a smaller version of it, a smaller scale thing. There's obviously the mobile stuff as well. You know, we're talking about Diablo Immortal, Warcraft Rumble. I don't really care at all about the mobile portion of Blizzard's IPs, but if we're talking about getting more indie/AA quality PC or console focused titles, there's just so much potential. There's so much possibility. In fact, I think we've seen what that could mean with Plunderstorm. I think this was a great showcase of that. Now, if you happen to miss the craze, Plunderstorm was a genuinely fun battle royale. I had a blast playing it. Blizzard released this as a temporary game mode inside of the WoW client. You would drop in with just a basic attack, go around killing NPCs to level up, collecting spells along the way to build up a loadout of different abilities, all while fighting in lobbies of 60 players with a closing circle pushing you all together and trying to stay alive to be the last one standing. It was a tradition.
Yeah, I haven't played WoW between 5 and 7 years, y'all. So I'm thinking about coming back, y'all, because they say this new expansion is good for like people that want to play solo, y'all. People that don't really got too much friends that play the game. So I'm thinking about coming back, y'all. They say mostly like the dungeons and stuff and raids and stuff you could do solo. You don't really need no group or be in no guild to do all that stuff. Because just like I said, I'm a parent and I work, so I ain't gonna have time for none of that stuff for you. But enough of that, let's get back in it.
Traditional battle royale, but in the World of Warcraft. But it wasn't just WoW in a battle royale area. Like, they really, in a lot of ways, made it its own thing. You weren't actually logging into WoW and like going up to an NPC and queuing in. It was its own separate game inside of the WoW client. And like I said, it was actually really, really good. I think that if they made some tweaks and some adjustments and some polishing, it could very well be spun off into its own game. In fact, I know of a few people who have zero, actually less than zero interest in World of Warcraft. They do not care. They would never play that MMO, but they played and thoroughly enjoyed Plunderstorm. That's a really good sign. And I think they're just generally around the internet, there seemed to be a positive sentiment around Plunderstorm, besides the fact that it was locked behind a monthly subscription. I think if they spun off Plunderstorm into its own game, probably don't call it Plunderstorm, come up with another name, but make a World of Warcraft Battle Royale as its own free-to-play thing, you could probably just print money with that. In fact, frankly, I think that should be be that'd be my suggestion, that this is the first thing that this new spin-off studio works on.
Smart.
It seems like
That's
an
smart.
easy win there. But there's a few other ideas that I would personally love to see them take a crack at. How about a Warcraft-themed survival game, huh? Blizzard did spend 7 years laying the groundwork for a shared open world survival title. It was under a
That'd be
brand new
good.
IP, and that was
I ain't
scrapped
into
earlier
survival
this
games.
year, unfortunately, when Microsoft had a big round of
Oh, it's
layoffs.
scrapped.
I would imagine there's a possibility they could use some parts of this, rework it with Warcraft theming, and then spin it out into its own smaller scale survival game. Making use of past scrapped projects and turning them into something new is something that Blizzard has done in the past. Overwatch, most notably, was made from the remnants of Blizzard's sci-fi MMO codenamed Titan. That game also, funnily enough, was canceled after roughly 7 years in development. It's like that 7-year mark is the killer for a lot of Blizzard games if they're not going to release. And you know, survival games are also notoriously lower budget titles. A majority of the most popular survival games out there were made by relatively small teams with relatively little funding, talking things like Rust.
All right, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and skip ahead because he just talk about games they should.
If people have watched how we have teased things in the past, there's usually some kind of a reconciliation of those hints later on. I'm not one to try to lead people on. It might not happen in the timeline that people would love, but usually when I tease, there is something there. So he's kind of like confirming without confirming that they are, at the very least, Microsoft is in at least considerations of reviving the StarCraft franchise. Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought it up. That's what you can pull from that, right? Whether
One game they do need to bring back too, Heroes of the Storms. That was a good game too. They got rid of that, but they start updating it and making new characters for it.
not that's going to happen in this decade, who knows? Okay. So yeah, I mean, hey, there's clearly a fair bit going on at Blizzard right now, all things considered, from this new development team focused on smaller scale AA/indie level games for their existing IPs. Once again, I'll reiterate, I will take that Battle Royale and or Survival Warcraft themed game, please. World of Warcraft, both classic and retail, along with Diablo 4, they are continuing to get updates and will be getting expansions for the foreseeable future. While the survival game was canned, we do have this brand new announced PvE focused open world game that's ramping up development. Phil Spencer has also acknowledged interest in reviving StarCraft, as I just mentioned, and I should add that we saw job postings back in 2021 for an unannounced action/FPS game that was said to be in development for PC and consoles with online integration. We do also know they've got several mobile games in the work, if you care about that. I don't. And yes, for sure, there's most likely more unannounced things and not yet revealed things. I will say though, personally, like barring a reveal of StarCraft 3 or Blizzard releasing another full-blown MMO, I think what I'm actually most interested in seeing is this new, smaller, more agile dev team, what they come up with. There's just, again, so much potential for Warcraft, Diablo, and StarCraft if mapped onto so many genres. Battle Royale, Survival, Souls-like, Roguelike, Platformer even. That, like, you could just take Blizzard IPs and put them onto so many other game types and genres, and it could certainly work. And I hope that's the sort of thing that they plan to be working on. Whatever comes of it, though, I will be sure to keep you posted as we see and learn more. But that is all for today. Thank you as always for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you next.
All right, y'all want to go check out this Force Gaming, yo? But just like, is this Blizzard last chance? I don't think so, y'all, cause they got a big fan base and majority of them are loyal. So majority of them they'll wait for anything, y'all, and they'll just stick to it, y'all, and take what Blizzard give to them because they how loyal it is. They put so much time into Blizzard games that they don't want to give it up, y'all. I understand. It took me a little while to give it up. It took me like 7 years, to give it up. But I don't think it's the last chance, y'all. That's why Microsoft brought them, because they already know that company right there gonna make them some money. All right, y'all. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I see you. Peace. I'm out.